Before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
Hey, welcome back to Before Nashville. We'll introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Tonight, joining me is a young lady that I met a few years ago, and she's pretty much a straight shooter. She doesn't pull any punches in her music. She's a little bit of a spitfire, and she's been dubbed as the Woman in Black by her fans for the stories and just kind of the subtle nod that she gives to some of her idols like Johnny Cash and Waylon and Willie. And Whaley, that's kind of the two of them put together. But we're going to check with her in just 30 seconds, so stick around.
Before Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at sibby'sapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
All right, and welcoming tonight, we've got Jordan Rayner with us. Jordan, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So good to have you on. And I know we're going to kind of have a little bit of a redacted show tonight because your allergies and stuff are kicking in, and we don't want to keep you too long and strain your voice.
I'm happy to be here. I've been on the road for the last month, solid, just done a month of shows, and just feeling the road a little bit, but really happy to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad to have you on too. It's super exciting. I met Jordan about it was about 3-4 years ago, and had a ball watching her. She puts on an amazing show, and if you ever get a chance to see her, then you absolutely need to. I'm telling you right now. Let's start off with a little bit about your background. Where'd you come from, and how'd you get into music and playing guitar and all the good stuff?
Of course. Well, I was born in Atoka, Oklahoma, and I was raised all around the Red River Valley, from Durant, Oklahoma to Whitewright, Texas, bounced around there. And as far as getting into music, I really didn't have a choice. I was born into it. One of the earliest photographs of me, I was about 18 months old, and it's me sitting on a piano bench in my diaper, nothing but a diaper, playing the piano. So it was like, I didn't come out wanting a stethoscope or, tools or anything like that. So I think it was pretty clear where my future was headed.
Well, and then growing up, I mean, were you big into music when you were going through like the younger years of school and writing and stuff?
Oh yeah, man, I was one of those kids where if there was an instrument, if I came to your house and there was a guitar propped in the corner, I was gonna go touch it and pick it up. I couldn't leave an instrument, and that's kind of how it started for me. My dad had this old Fender acoustic guitar propped up in the corner of his office. He's a pastor, so it was his church office, and I'd go there every day after school. Bus would drop me off. I'd run across the street to the church, run up the stairs to my dad's office. We'd walk to the store together, get a Dr. Pepper, a Payday candy bar, go back up to his office, and I'd bang on that guitar while he worked on his sermons. And that's where it started for me, and I've not been able to put it down since.
And you've gotten to be very well versed in guitar. I mean, like I said, I've seen you play live, and you just have some of the best chops that I have ever seen when it comes to guitar.
Thank you. Well, here's the funny thing, I wasn't a born singer. My mom is an incredible vocalist. She's the singer of the family. And me and my dad just kind of naturally gravitated toward the picking side. And my dad, I'm a daddy's girl. I mean, I just a daddy's girl. And my dad, was this amazing, still is an amazing picker, amazing banjo player, guitar player. And he raised me watching people like Ricky Skaggs and Bela Fleck and Tony Rice. And he would show videos of these guys, and he'd say, now watch his wrist here, see how little his wrist moves, and see how smooth it is. I mean, he had such an admiration for them, and all I wanted as a daddy's girl was for my dad to talk about me that way. And that's what it was for me. And I, again, not being a born singer, I just decided to be the best player I could be, and the voice came along a lot later in life.
So, who are some of the influences that you had personally growing up?
Mm. Well, my biggest hero growing up was Stephen Curtis Chapman. He's a Christian contemporary music artist, and that's what I grew up listening to. Jason Summers was a guy in our church in Whitewright, Texas, where I grew up, and he did me one of the biggest services in my entire life. He knew that I was into Stephen Curtis Chapman and that Stephen was a great guitar player and that I idolized that artist. So Jason bought me every Stephen Curtis CD that there was. He gave me the entire catalog. And man, in my teenage years, I listened over and over and over to every one of those songs and learned every guitar lick, note for note. There's not a Stephen Curtis Chapman song I can't play, and that's
Mhm.
why I play the way I do. That's why I play in the tunings that I do. It defined the course of my future, and I can never thank him enough for that.
So, have you had the opportunity to meet him and express that gratitude to him face to
I,
face?
I've gotten to meet Steven a handful of times, and I've actually my workhorse Taylor guitar is signed by him, so I have gotten to complete that circle. And actually, Jason Summers also has signed that guitar. Those are the only two people I would ever let sign that guitar. So
Now, when you get into songwriting, because you write some, and when you
but
get into songwriting, who are some of the people that you look up to for their writings and that kind of thing?
oh man, writers I look up to, Kevin Brandt. He's amazing, a hit songwriter. He wrote "Lovable Woman" by himself for Travis Tritt, among many others. Brandy Clark is another. Josh Osborne, Shane McAnally, even Bob Dylan. Man, I've got a ton of artists there that that really deep down are just great writers that happen to find the spotlight. But those are probably the main handful that have really made an impact on how I write and how I think and how I approach storytelling.
And I mean, you've kind of got in good with a writer. If a lot of people that know country music understand the writers and know the writers, Dean
Right.
Dillon, who is like one of the most amazing writers in my book that I've ever heard.
He's incredible. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I've written with him several times, and everything you hear about him is absolutely true. He's a brilliant mind, and he takes to songwriting like a duck takes to water. You can sit there and agonize and agonize and agonize over what that next line should be, but if you just hand it to Dean, he'll just go, "Oh, it's this," but spits it right out, and it's perfect. So yeah, he's a rare thing.
And if you don't know the name Dean Dillon, let me give you a couple of hints. George Strait, The Chair, George
Mm.
Strait, Marina Del Rey, um, which is one of my all-time favorite George Strait songs.
I mean, Kenny Chesney, I would have done a lot of things different. Uh,
Mhm.
Good time. Not here for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Oh, the list is infinite. But yeah,
Yeah, a lot of great songs that Dean Dillon wrote, and I think that's amazing. And then you kind of teamed up with Dean on another voice that we've. Speaking of voice, no
Mhm.
pun intended.
Yeah,
Um, another voice that we know who was from The Voice, and that was Sundance Head. You guys
yeah,
did a couple of songs on Sundance's album.
we did. We did. Sundance is a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, he and I were just in Houston together. We just missed each other. He played the same venue that I played, just one night apart. So we just missed each other. But oh man, you talk about a singer. There's not a fool on this earth that can sing like he can, and I'm so honored. He ended up cutting a couple of my songs, and one of them that we wrote with Dean as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, great stuff. Yeah, you've just been so blessed with the course of your career to be able to do the things you've done as far as the people that you've met and the people that you've worked with. And I know that's got to really feel good.
It does. Again, I'm just a girl from Atoka, Oklahoma, who didn't have. uh, I don't know if this is insensitive to say, but I didn't have an ounce of privilege to my name. I've worked extremely hard for everything I've gotten, for every dime that's in my bank account, for every opportunity I've had, every room I've been in. I've
Mhm.
worked very hard, and of course, there's lots of people that work very hard that don't. catch some of the breaks that I've caught, and I know that. And I never take them for granted. And I'm very, very blessed and very thankful for what I've gotten to do so far.
So, what would you say is the most unique aspect about your music that draws people to become a fan?
Well, I'd have to ask my fans that. But hope, what I hope that people connect with is that I'm a real woman who's been through real things, trying to connect with other real women that have done real things. And there's a little bit of a stigma about female artists, and that there tends to be kind of two different routes that a female artist can take. You're either kind of dark and edgy, or you're really light and kind of bubblegum, and you're just singing about the latest breakup. Oh my gosh, he was such a douchebag. It's that kind of thing, right? And so my audience does tend to be uh, women that do tend to lean toward that grittier side and have an appreciation for that. So yeah, just being real. I think being real and authentic.
Kind of a lot more maturity than the other side is a good way I would put it.
Yeah, and no harm done. I mean, if you're 20 years old, you haven't walked through some stuff yet. But I'm 32 years old. I'm a preacher's daughter. I'm an ex-wife. I've been to some crazy corners of the world that I've faced death. I've worked in prisons. I've seen some crazy things, and that gives me a lot of stories and a lot of different ways to connect. So.
Right. And all those stories at one point or another can translate into some wonderful music too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have an endless supply of material. I mean, I'll be good on song material till the day I die for sure.
So now, do you do like when you're doing a set, are there covers that you do? And if so, what's your favorite cover to sing?
Oh, absolutely, hands down, "Fancy" by Reba McEntire. I've done a mashup and done like a medley between "Fancy" and "Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia." That's like my
Mm,
favorite thing to sing. I absolutely love Reba. She's from 10 minutes down the road from where I grew up, so
right.
she's a hometown hero. So definitely, hands down, that's my favorite.
Great stuff. Now, I mean, I was listening on the way to work this morning to some of your stuff, and I'm going to ask you about one song real quick because it kind of caught my ear, and uh, it's kind of in line with "Goodbye Earl"
Okay,
and then
yeah,
"Crossfire."
yeah, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that song.
Well, I wrote it at the time I wrote it. I was married, so the song's about killing your husband.
Mhm.
So obviously, I couldn't kill my husband. So we did a little storytelling. No, so I got in the room with Joshua Gleave and Heidi Ray, who are both just absolutely phenomenal writers, phenomenal artists. And I sat down and I said, "Look, one of my favorite songs right now is Mama's Broken Heart by Miranda Lambert. I'd love to have a song with that kind of smirk and that kind of sass." And so Josh Gleave actually started picking around on the guitar signature that you hear in the recording. He's kind of doing that little bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum. And he kind of started picking on that, and I jumped in with him. And Heidi Ray, being like the melody genius that she is, she kind of started going, "Well, don't mind me, minding my business, hanging clothes on the line." And that was like the first thing she spit out. And we spent 2 days. It was a very unconventional writing session because typically, you're kind of strumming out chords and you're kind of mumbling through stuff, putting rhymes together. We spent the first day just literally almost like we were sitting down writing a movie script, and we worked out this character. Who is she? What color is her kitchen? We worked this lady out, and we wrote the story, and we wrote the script of this entire murder and cover up and how she got caught. And then we said, like, the next day we got together and say, "Okay, now let's make it rhyme." So that's kind of how the story was written. And of course, the recording was produced by session veteran Ilya Tashinsky, who was an absolute honor to have that produced by him, and mixed by Jim Cooley, who mixed all of Luke Combs' latest records. So that recording and that whole song is just very special.
Yeah, it's a great song. You need to, if you haven't heard it, you need to go check it out on all your streaming services because it's a really good song and it's got that little humoristic edge
Oh,
to it,
sure.
kind of like
Yeah,
uh,
all my songs have that little smirk to it. I can't help it.
Absolutely. And we got one. Now this one I gotta say, this is my number one Jordan Rayner song right now. And I'm gonna play that for folks, but it's hilarious. I mean, it is like these song it's almost like a woman wrote this, and if you'll excuse the phrase, at that time of the month.
Yep. Yep.
So when you hear it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The song is called Damn Sandwich, and I didn't know where it was going when I heard the title. But after I listened to it, I thought, okay, I can deal with that. So we're going to play Damn Sandwich. This is Jordan Rayner on Before Nashville.
Woke up this morning, wrong side of the bed. Got a crick in my neck and a pounding head. I'm down to my last nerve. Don't you get on it. No, I don't want to talk and I don't want to kiss. Ain't nothing broke that you can fix. Kinda sounds like you ought to shut your mouth now, don't it? Make your own coffee, iron your own shirt, kiss your own self when you leave for work. Let the dog out to play in the yard, bring in the mail. No, it ain't that hard. Don't worry about me, I'll be fine with a pint of ice cream and a bottle of wine. And by the way, have a nice day. And if you get hungry, make your own damn sandwich. You didn't do nothing wrong, but it's all your fault. I don't need a reason to be pissed off. I wanna be mad, and you'd be wise to let me. Forget about me for a little while, and don't try so hard to make me smile. I'll let you know when I'm ready for you to come and get me. Oh, so make your own coffee and iron your own shirt. Kiss your own self when you leave for work. Let the dog out to play in the yard, bring in the mail. No, it ain't that hard. Don't worry about me, I'll be fine with a pint of ice cream and a bottle of wine. And by the way, have a nice day. And if you get hungry, make your own damn sandwich. Chances are tomorrow I'll change my mind and I'll wake up and I'll be fine, okay? But baby, for today, make your own coffee and iron your own shirt. Kiss your own self when you leave for work. Let the dog out to play in the yard and bring in the mail. Boy, it ain't that hard. Don't worry about me, I'll be fine with a pint of ice cream and a bottle of wine. Oh, by the way, have a nice day. And if you get hungry, make your own damn sandwich. I just need a day. I'll be fine tomorrow. Yeah.
That's Jordan Rayner on Before Nashville and Damn Sandwich. I was waiting for at the end, I have to admit, because I'm listening to that while I'm driving in, and it timed out just right. I'm about 3 minutes from work. And as I was listening at the very end, I was waiting for you to say, maybe.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I thought that's great. That whole song is great. I don't know if my wife was on and heard that or not, but I hope she didn't.
Yeah, listen, there's a special thing that happens every 28 days, and that song is very relevant.
It is. It is absolutely. That's the first thing I thought. I thought, man, that is just like right there. Guys, you know what we're talking about. Don't act like you don't.
There's been a truer written than "You didn't do nothing wrong, but it's all your fault. I don't need a reason to be pissed off." That, I mean, like, that's it. There's no truer song line written.
Exactly. That needs to be on a T-shirt for that, for women across America,
You know, I
around the world.
opportunities. I need to market on that.
Yeah. So, you play a lot in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and a lot of the Southeast. You play a lot down there.
Yeah.
Through the course of where you've gone, what would you say is your favorite venue to play in?
Mm. Well, I just had my debut at Dosey Do's down in Woodlands, Texas, and I got to tell you, that is one of the most amazing rooms I've ever played. It's made up. It was actually a deconstructed barn that was originally like built in Kentucky back in like 1820 something. They deconstructed that entire barn, moved it to Texas, reassembled it in Texas, and the whole place is just like a sound box. If you've never been to Dosey Do's in Woodlands, Texas, you got to go check it out, hands down.
I'm gonna have to make that trip because that sounds like it would really be fun.
It's an experience. It's absolutely an experience, and yeah, I can't wait to play there again.
So you kind of have a unique style, but you have a technical style as well because you play guitar, and I'm guessing most of the guitars on your tracks you handle like the lead parts for sure.
Yeah, Damn Sandwich, I played every instrument on the track. Everything you hear is me, and the vocal was actually the scratch vocal. It was a one take vocal, which is very rare for me. I'm usually somebody who beats stuff to death and do it over and over. So, yeah, but I play a lot of the instruments on my tracks, and that's a big part of my personality that comes through for sure.
Mhm. So do you feel like that more of the style, like a uniqueness in the style or the technical side is more important if, say, someone were to ask you that were trying to get into the music business, what kind of guidance would you give them on that?
As far as guidance in what way?
Like if they say, "Hey, if do I need to be unique or should I, like do I
Like,
need to have a
oh,
different
okay.
style or more technical?"
Well, I'll tell you this, I'm not a great technical player. Stuff that is really easy for other players, it takes me a long time. I have to work 50 times as hard to get a solo out than somebody else. So it's all, I mean, I think style is so important. I'm a clumsy guitar player. I make mistakes. It's got its own flavor to it, but at the same time, there's got to be enough time put in that you do pull it off, and it's not uncomfortable for people listening, going, "Oh, honey, you should have worked harder." So, it really is a good mesh, I think, of technicality and raw, just personality as well. So,
Mhm.
if you can
And
blend the two, it's great.
absolutely. I mean, that's a good point. You blend those 2 together and I mean, you've been able to do that to where you've garnered a very good following wherever you play. People love to come out and hear you play.
Yeah, yeah, I'm blessed that they do, and acoustic guitar is my home. I don't make a lot of mistakes on acoustic guitar because I have spent thousands of hours on it. But there's other instruments, like I said, I'm a little more clumsy on, but it adds character, and I'm always able to play it off too. And the crowds, I think, maybe appreciate that vulnerability and kind of that human side. So being human is great, but as long as you're not so human, like I said, that people feel sorry for you, that's probably where you would not want to venture.
Exactly. Um, Now, what with the shows that you've done, what's the most memorable one that you've performed?
Mm. Well, I've got shows that are memorable for good reasons, and I've got shows that are memorable for other reasons. You and I were talking before we went on the air. There was a show that I did in Marion, Illinois. It was an outdoor show. The stage was on asphalt, and it is to date the hottest day in Illinois history. And at one point, I was so hot that I stopped seeing in color. I was seeing in black and white, and I almost passed out multiple times. And a good friend of mine who was on stage before me, as soon as he got off stage, he passed out in the parking lot, woke up and threw up 5 times. So that's one of the more memorable shows I've done, but not probably for the greatest reasons. And I also got to play a show at the Grand Ole Opry not too long ago. So
Mhm.
I wasn't even one of the main performers. I just got to sit back and back up um, an artist and play an instrument. I got to play banjo and mandolin for a great new artist, and so yeah, getting to play on the Opry stage was one of the better moments.
Right, right. Just to play on the stage. I mean, everybody wants to be in the circle, and that day comes for pretty much everybody. But as I mean, you're up there, and a
Yeah,
lot of people don't even get that far.
that's sacred ground. And there's some people that want to run up to the circle and get their picture taken. Like, hey, just take a picture of me in the circle. I won't touch that circle until it's my day. But I got to be part of a friend of mine's day on that stage, and that was good enough for me.
Right, absolutely. Now, if if you could say, okay, um, you go out on tour with a couple of people, a couple of different acts, and who is it you're gonna that you kind of want, dream, um, would love to go out on tour with?
Oh man, the list is long, and yet there's a short list. Reba, of course, would be my first. I would probably actually die and meet Jesus before the first show. I don't think my heart could take it. But Reba would be my first choice. Dolly Parton, of course, would be another one of those. Brad Paisley, Keith Urban, and probably Miranda Lambert as well.
Hmm.
Ashley
Oh,
McBride.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Ashley, all of them. I mean, they're all.
Again, I've got a long list, but that's the short list for sure.
So, now, where do you have any shows coming up that people can check out if they're, like in the area?
Right. Well, I just finished a run all through Texas. I mean, we just wrapped our first show or our last show a couple days ago, and I'm actually taking a little time off here in October. And we're looking to start booking, really picking back up in the new year. But yeah, my website, jordanrainerofficial.com. Any shows that do come up and that we're booking, you can find that on the tour dates page, and so you can keep up with anything that does come up before the new year there.
Do you do bands in town to where people can follow you and get notifications?
Yes. So if you want to know if I'm going to be in your area, you can actually text me. You can text me at 615-808-8503, and that's my actual phone number. And when you text me, it'll ask for your name and where you're from. And I categorize people based on where they're from. And anytime I'm going to be in a particular area, I will shoot you a text and be like, hey, I'm going to be at X place at X day. Come see me, come hang out. So that's a really quick way to know where I'm going to be.
Very personable too, and I love that.
Oh, well, listen, the way I tell people, like, social media, that's for fans. My phone number is for family. I'd rather you be family. So text me. It doesn't even have to be about shows. Text me a picture of your dog or what you're making for dinner. I don't care. I'd love to connect with you and for us to be friends. So please, by all means, 615-808-8503. Shoot me a text.
All right. Well, and that's awesome. So you guys can do that. You can check Jordan out on all the streaming platforms. Jordan, I'm not going to keep you long because I know the allergies and stuff are kicking
Hmm.
in. Your voices don't want to mess that voice up. I want to, I know you're taking some time off, but still, I don't want you to have to start off on a bad foot. So,
Well, no, I'm gonna go. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow to get it all checked out and make sure we're all good and healthy. But yeah, man, I've absolutely had a blast getting to talk with you. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, I've enjoyed it. And as always, if like she said, check her out on the website, which is jordanrainerofficial.com,
That's right.
and also text her. And I'll get that number for you real quick when we get off because I didn't have a chance to write it down, and I will put that up uh, when I get everything published for this. Okay.
Don't say.
That way we'll have that ready. I don't think I'm sure I don't have it in my phone, and if I did, I probably don't remember.
Hmm.
But we'll do that. Yeah. Shame on me, right?
All right. Had your chance.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Jordan, again, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming on. You take care of yourself. We most
Oh,
definitely want you to get better.
yeah. Stay safe and have a great rest of your evening, buddy.
All right. So everybody be sure to join us again. We'll turn it over to Kevin. He's our voice guy right now. Y'all have a great night.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Before Nashville on all social media and listen wherever you get your podcast. Tune in again for another country star of tomorrow on Before Nashville with George Davis. I'm Kevin Casey on behalf of Worldwide Pants. Have a great